The crew of Atlantis got up to start a very important day, the installation of the U.S. Destiny Laboratory to the International Space Station. The Expedition 1 crew sent down footage of yesterday's docking of Atlantis to the space station and the initial greetings between the shuttle and station crews. Early in the day, mission specialist Marcia Ivins powered up the shuttle's robot arm and lifted it over to pressurize mating adapter 2. PMA-2 was attached to the station's Unity module, but had to be moved to clear the way for the attachment of Destiny to the end of Unity. Meanwhile, mission specialists Tom Jones and Bob Kerbeam, with assistance from spacewalk choreographer Mark Polanski, prepared for their spacewalk to assist Ivins in hooking up Destiny to the station. Ivins locked the end of the arm on PMA-2's grapple fixture, and a series of computer commands were sent by Commander Ken Cockrell to release 16 bolts holding the adapter in place on the station. After successfully releasing the bolts, Cockrell played a song in honor of the soon-to-be-released docking port. The PMA was then released and lifted up to the Z1 truss on the top of the Unity module. Here it will be temporarily stored until later in the flight, when it will be hooked up to the end of the Destiny lab. Once PMA-2 was in the pre-installed position near the Z1 truss, the spacewalkers opened the hatch on Atlantis and exited the orbiter. After failing to do a spacewalk on his last flight in 1996 due to a stuck hatch handle, Jones was delighted to get out the door.
Well, Houston, I used Tammy's technique to get the door open, and looks like I'm opening the door to a new life out here.
After setting up their tools, Jones headed up the Z1 truss to oversee the connection of PMA-2 to the manual berthing mechanism.
Boy, Marcia, it looks like you've got that PMA-2 ready to go. And waiting on you.
Meanwhile, stow contamination shields and launch heater umbilicals attached to the Destiny lab. With Jones watching, Ivins moved the PMA onto the Z1 truss. Once the PMA was in place, Jones used a power tool to tighten 4 bolts that locked the adapter in place. Jones then confirmed as Ivins removed the robot arm from the PMA. When that work was done, the spacewalkers moved to the P6 solar array truss, where they unlocked a radiator that will be deployed later in the flight. They then unlocked the station's main KU antenna. The antenna will be activated during the next shuttle flight.
I think this is what we've been waiting for.
Ivins used the robot arm to grapple Destiny and lift it out of the shuttle's payload bay. With Kerbeam looking on to assist, she slowly lifted the 16-ton Destiny to a position called low hover. Get it in the proper orientation for attaching to the unit module. Once the lab was properly aligned and the crew saw 4 ready-to-latch indicators on the berthing mechanism, Destiny to its home on the space station. The spacewalkers then hooked up heater cables and electrical and fluid connections on Destiny to get initial power routed into the lab. A brief ammonia leak from a cable was stopped when the cable was attached to the lab. The ammonia crystals soon dissipated. There were no other leaks in the ammonia lines, and the hookup of Destiny was completed successfully by the spacewalkers. Jones and Kerbeam brushed off and baked out their spacesuits in the sun at the conclusion of their work to make sure the ammonia had not contaminated their suits. The hatches between Atlantis and the station were reopened after the spacewalk to continue connections between Destiny and the Unity module. Mission Control continued to check out Destiny after the crew went to bed. Tomorrow, the shuttle and station crews will continue to assist in the lab's activation.
And now on the middeck of Atlantis, as Tom Jones prepares to put on his spacesuit extravehicular mobility unit with assistance from pilot Mark Polanski, who will serve as the choreographer up on the flight deck throughout today's spacewalk. The other spacewalker today preparing to climb inside his liquid-cooled undergarment that is worn under the extravehicular mobility unit, or the spacesuit that to be worn by Bob Kerbeam. The liquid cooling garment that he'll wear has a series of tubing that runs through it that he can control the water flow, thus controlling the temperature inside the spacesuit while out during this planned 6.5-hour spacewalk. And in the Unity module, Sergei Krikalev, flight engineer of the Expedition 1 crew, and on the left, commander of that Expedition 1 crew, astronaut Bill Shepard. Just off the view to the right, the pilot, Yuri Gudzenko. "100 days on the space station today," and again, this is continued playback of the greeting, welcoming ceremony of Atlantis' crew arriving.
Right, are you still getting this?
Yes, we see the handshakes and the greetings.
Again, the both crews now joined together after yesterday's docking. Mission Specialist Bob Kerbeam now assisting as Tom Jones climbs up through the hard upper torso known as the hut. This has already been pre-mounted on the wall of the shuttle's airlock, and Tom Jones being assisted by Bob Kerbeam in the foreground and pilot Mark Polanski in the background there. The two astronauts, Kerbeam and Jones, will begin the first of 3 scheduled spacewalks a little less than 2 hours from now, maybe earlier. But the plan is for them to head out of the airlock and then begin the operation of assisting with the demate of cables on the outside of the docking port, which will be temporarily relocated to make room for Destiny's installation at that particular point. And then on the second spacewalk, that docking port will then be located to the opposite end, or the forward end of Destiny.
Atlantis Houston, just about a minute and a half to the ZOE. We'll pick you up on the other side at 14:35 after a 6-minute gap. Just be advised, however, that till about 14:50 we'll be off the tail or in blockage, so we'll be intermittent comm for that period. And we've enjoyed watching Tom and Beamer get suited up. We won't have TV on the other side, so we'll catch you on the next TV pass visually anyway.
Copy that. See you then.
And as we can see, the robotic arm with some of this bonus television live from Atlantis and the International Space Station on its way under control of Marcia Ivins to that grapple fixture.
Atlantis, Houston, FYI, we have good comm for the moment, and we'll probably do so for the next several minutes. And we also have TV, so we're watching the arm movements performed by Marcia.
And the arm is now in motion, preparing for the grapple of the docking port on the Unity module. This docking port was actually installed on Unity during its processing at the Kennedy Space Center prior to Unity's launch aboard the STS-98 mission, which was the first assembly mission of the International Space Station. And Marcia Ivins is actually looking at a closed-circuit television picture of this exact view, using that pin in the center of the picture to align the shuttle's robotic arm. We have confirmation of a good capture and of the PMA-2. This unique view from the vantage point of the shuttle robotic arm's midpoint or elbow joint. There's a camera that's actually mounted on that, and it's been positioned by the crew to look directly at the interface between the docking port, which is seen here in black, and the Unity module. That CBM, or common berthing mechanism, is in the process of being released. All of the 16 bolts are in the process of being systematically loosened, basically, albeit electrically, with commanding from a computer that is under control of Commander Ken Cockrell up on the flight deck of Atlantis.
If we can get the audio to work, here's a song from PMA-2 to Note 1.
Atlantis, Houston, thanks for the musical interlude. You and Marcia have a second career as DJs when you get back.
That's if you let us come back. We'll see if we can get this job done first.
And this is a different view looking up at the interface between the Unity module and the pressurized mating adapter from the payload bay, from the bottom of the payload bay, as Marcia Ivins backs the docking port away from the Unity module. And we're about 20 minutes away or so by a countdown clock to the point at which Tom Jones and Bob Kerbeam will start to depressurize the airlock in preparation for beginning today's spacewalk. beautiful view from the payload bay. This one looking from the tail of Atlantis as Marsh Ivan continues to move the docking port now away from the Unity module up to its temporary stowage location on the Z1 truss element. And we're just under 9 minutes away from the point at which the airlock depressurization will begin. And at that point, astronauts Tom Jones and Bob Kerbeam will get set to head out of the airlock, and Tom Jones will head up to this location where Marsh Ivans currently has the docking port poised. That circular temporarily stowage position on the Z1 truss is the next order of business. That is where she will maneuver the docking port in, and Tom Jones will manually latch it temporarily to that position. And just coming into view is Tom Jones on his first spacewalk. Of course, both astronauts on their first spacewalks. And Tom Jones there with a red stripe around the pant legs of his suit. That will distinguish him from his colleague Bob Kerbeam throughout today's spacewalk, which is now 50 minutes in duration.
Clocking looks good. Pitch looks good. And the yaw, I can't really see any errors in either. Starting to draw the trajectory of the plungers and alignment pins, and they look acceptable.
One hour into the spacewalk now. The spacewalk began at 9:50 this morning Central, 10:50 a.m. Eastern Time.
Parallel. The roll is now sweet, and it was only about a degree anyway. So I think we are ready for trying to capture. Fantastic, Tom. Get back in the APFR. I'll give you the PGT settings, and we'll let you know when we're ready for you to drive the capture latches.
While Tom Jones continues his work in beginning to lock the docking port to the temporary stowage point, his colleague Bob Kerbeam is should be shortly wrapping up the task of removing some contamination covers, some protective covers over the common berthing mechanism on the far end of the Destiny laboratory. That's the end that will be attached to the Unity module.
I'm Marsha. I'm right below the RMS. Give me a few till I call you for clearance.
Okay, I'm ready to ungrapple. I'll wait for you to tell me to go.
Okay, yeah, just be a minute.
And Tom Jones translating around the circumference of the Unity module. This view looking from the back end of Atlantis' payload bay, looking toward the Unity module and the basically the berthing mechanism to which the Destiny laboratory will be permanently located before the day is over. He did a visual inspection to make sure that there was no obstruction whatsoever before the Destiny module is lifted into position.
Okay, I've put in 8 turns on this one, and it came loose. Excellent. I'd rather try a higher pool setting before going to ratchet. No, we don't, Tom. We're going to have to do the manual method. Okay, give me a minute.
Destiny now being raised to what's known as the low hover position.
And I'll just remind you, power off and ratchet counterclockwise. MTL torque still at 30.5. That's confirmed. Number 6 inch released. You had a...
She brings the Destiny laboratory up out of the payload bay of Atlantis, now that she's basically got a set of eyes helping her with the alignment as she carefully raises the laboratory up out of the payload bay. The 16-ton Destiny laboratory now clear of the payload retention latch assemblies. Crew members refer to those as PERLAs by their acronyms.
Port side is well clear.
And Bob Kerbeam, translating along the left side of Atlantis' payload bay, has completed his assistance to Marcia Ivins in helping guide visually the Destiny laboratory out of the payload bay.
Undo your fairlead there, redo your fairlead up on the nose, and head over to the gimbal locks. That's my plan. Thanks for reminding me, though. Appreciate it. No problem.
He'll now head back up to the work site on the Z1 truss, where he will assist Tom Jones with continuing to release the gimbal locks on the KU band antenna for the International Space Station.
Doing great work.
This sequential still image from Atlantis and the International Space Station, with the Destiny laboratory now basically in the vertical position about halfway through this 180-degree rotation.
That is correct, and you're going to get the lab Alpha 7, clockwise 2, 10.5. Alpha 7, clockwise 2, that'll be 10.5. On plate number 1, you're only going to drive that.
This view from the helmet camera, close-up view from Tom Jones's helmet. The view as he sees it outside the Destiny laboratory, preparing to connect the heater cable. This to provide thermal cooling and thermal balance to the Destiny module.
And Houston, Atlantis, if you copy, we're having a hard time getting F1 off with the leak on F3. Would you like us to try and connect F3 to the lab?
Affirmative.
Beamer, connect F3 to the lab. M5. Stay over.
What you're seeing there is the ammonia that they're referencing coming out of that quick disconnect, and the procedure for that when it's leaking out of that disconnect after he opened it is to as soon as he is able to connect that quick disconnect to the lab where it is destined to be. It's simply the quick disconnect that's leaking at this point, and it will stop as soon as he has got it attached to the lab itself.
We got to get that M1 closed off. Roger that. I concur.
Bob Kerbeam now halfway through the task of running the umbilical lines for the coolant system on Loop B. Loop A was the loop that one line, which was the return line that had the initial leak in it. On the second go-round, there was no leak at all visible, and the connections were clean. Those were mated without incident, and now the first of two remaining umbilicals has been mated also without incident. So only one thermal control system or thermal control loop umbilical remains to be seated. And again, this is to provide the necessary coolant lines from the space station to the laboratory Destiny.
Okay, great. And that's down by your feet.
I'm checking, Taco.
Astronaut Tom Jones brushing down
And
his
Taco, looks
partner,
like
Bob
everybody's happy
Kirby.
with that. You have a go.
Put it in work.
Alpha, Houston Station with a correction.
Yeah, concentrate on the right side. That would be the side that got sprayed the worst. Okay? So go ahead.
Yes, Shep, I need to amend the steps that I just gave you in the vestibule outfitting procedure. We'd like you to perform steps 12 through 17 with the exception of steps 13 and 14, please.